Hi everyone. I've had several questions about the discussions over the next couple of weeks, and so I just wanted to address those quickly here. Um, and I will basically cover all of the things that you will need to do for this unit in general. So you can see for this week, your discussion is just to create your blog template. You will have a rough draft workshop discussion next week. And so this does not need to be your rough draft discussion. This is just a regular weekly discussion where you will reply, or excuse me, provide comments to two of your peers, and then you will provide your reflections at the end of the week. So let's go look at that discussion specifically. It is the blog template discussion. The goal here is just to get your blog set up so that when it comes time to do your actual campaign analysis blog essay, you don't have to worry about the technical stuff quite as much. So you need to set up your blog and create your URL. You need to design your blogger, including a header, a title, and a background, and all your font and color images. You also need to make sure that you get your layout set up in terms of the actual features that you want to include, if you want to have an About Me section, but you don't have to, that kind of thing. You need to learn how to create a post. For this weekly assignment, this discussion this week, you do not actually have to post your draft, your working draft of the campaign analysis blog essay. For now, this can be anything you like as long as it includes one link. So it doesn't have to be particularly long. You can just talk about something you're interested in, or if you want to post some of your ideas for the campaign analysis blog, that would be fine. But the goal here is to practice embedding a link, which we'll talk about in just a second, and also the majority of your work will be done actually setting up the blog here and in the subsequent steps. So once you have your text copied into the new post box, you want to embed a link. There is a hyperlink button, so you'll just highlight the actual words you want to include, click on the link option at the top of the composition box, and then type in the URL. And then you'll publish it. So you want your classmates to be able to see your blog today, to be able to follow the link, to be able to read the text that you have included, and that sort of thing. And then in your comments, you can kind of ask each other questions about whatever topic was being discussed, or you could ask each other questions about how you chose to lay out and design your blog, or you could provide questions and comments that would push your classmates in the right direction for how they could use some of the ideas they've come up with here in their actual campaign analysis blog if you wanted to make it useful for them in terms of the overall essay that they're working on in this unit. That would be certainly a good idea. So again, I just want to highlight a couple of things. Your goal here is not to present or post your rough draft of the campaign analysis. You'll do that next week. So you're just going to set up your blog post by Wednesday of this week, and you can choose anything you want to write about. It doesn't have to be your topic for the campaign analysis blog, but it could be. And then this will play out as a normal discussion for the remainder of the week with your 2 comments to your peers and a final reflection post for Sunday. The peer review will be next week, so you won't be doing that kind of in-depth review of one person's work. Okay, so that is this week's discussion. I also want to talk about the rough draft of the assignment itself. The rough draft will be submitted for Wednesday of next week, but if you look at the schedule, you'll see that next week actually spans 2 weeks, 2 calendar weeks, and the reason for that is because on our campus here up at Larimer, we take our spring break a week before the other campus down at Westminster, and I'm not sure even exactly what week the Boulder campus takes their spring break. And so because of that, the online courses are kind of left in the middle because we have students and instructors that are kind of housed on all 3 campuses. And so basically all you have to do is complete the discussion by Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, your regular deadlines, for whichever week you choose to take your spring break. So if you want to take your spring break with the Larimer campus the first week, then you'll do all your work for week 6 the week of the 22nd, I believe, or 23rd. If you want to take your spring break with the Larimer campus, or excuse me, with the Westminster campus, you would do all of your work starting during the week that starts on the 16th. So basically, I want you to do all your work for week 6 within one calendar week, but you can choose whether you want to take the first week or the second week for this overall span of time that we have designated for week 6. So what that means is that if you are going to have your rough draft due on Wednesday of the first week, you'll have to put it up there by the 18th, you'll have to complete your review by the 20th, and you will have to post your final reflections by the 22nd. On the other hand, if you're going to take your spring break the first week and do the work the second week, then you'll have to have your rough draft up there by the 25th, have your one peer review completed by the 27th, and have your reflections done by the 29th. And so the reason that I want you to keep it all within one calendar week is because I don't want students to start to get confused about who has received a review and who hasn't, and I also want people to get timely feedback depending on whenever they are taking their spring break. So you can reasonably assume that if someone posts during the first week, they want their feedback that same week so that they can take their spring break the next week and not have to worry about posting to the discussion or checking back and things like that. So that's how it's going to work for the discussion. On the other hand, your reading matrices are just due at the end of the entire chunk of time, but you can turn them in whenever you want during that 2-week span. So if you are taking your spring break at the end and you want to turn them in on the 22nd, that's certainly fine, but the Dropbox won't close until the 29th. So you need to have your rough draft submitted to the discussions by either the 18th or the 25th, depending which week you are going to take your spring break and which week you'll actually be working. And you will not turn in your final draft of the essay until the next week in the actual Dropbox. So again, all the discussion workshop activities will be done within the discussion forum for this activity. And I just want to go back over the assignment sheet and show you guys that that is what is included here. So let's keep going. The rough draft is due, it says March 18th. That's only if you're taking your spring break during the second week. If you're taking your spring break the first week, then it won't be due until the 25th, and so on. And then the final again is due in the Dropbox on April 3rd. Now, I also want to go over a couple of the details of how you're going to be submitting this assignment because it's a little bit different genre, being that it is a blog. So because we're working in a blog genre, I do want you guys to practice in this medium and with the kind of posting and linking and commenting options that it provides, because this kind of ties in with the digital text theme that we've had going on in the course so far. And so the instructions for how to submit it are here, but I want to kind of explain this a little bit further to show how this week's discussion connects to your final submission of the essay itself. So when you're setting up your blog on Blogger this week, I don't really care, as I said, what you put in for the actual text as long as you have all the formatting and technical stuff done. But when it comes time to actually turn in your final draft of the essay, I do want you to post your analysis as a post to your blog the same way you're posting to your blog for this week's discussion. So you'll draft your blog as a Microsoft Word document and then copy and paste that into the text box when you create a new post in Blogger. And then you'll just put your link in the Dropbox as well. So I've also had some questions, well, where am I supposed to put my link? Am I supposed to put it in the Dropbox comments or am I supposed to put it in my Word document? It doesn't really matter as long as I have that link available to me and I can go check that blog, because as you can see in the grading criteria, the genre conventions are part of your actual grade. So if you have a header, background, tags, and links, I need to be able to check those things. So I want to go look at your actual blog. Okay, so and then I also want to point out some of these strategies on the assignment sheets. Your goal is to analyze the visual and verbal text of the ad that you've chosen in terms of the author's ideas and rhetorical choices. So your book talks about ideas critique and rhetorical critique. You're trying to make points of analysis based on the author's ideas and rhetorical choices, and then have those points culminate in an overall claim that reflects the quality of the campaign. So basically what you're trying to do is evaluate if the campaign was persuasive or not, based on points about the rhetoric and the quality of the ideas. And you're just using that second text to support your discussion. So it's not a compare contrast like we did for last week's discussion. It's more of just a source to back up what you're saying about the actual text that you're analyzing. And so if you have any questions about that or what you're supposed to write about, you can let me know. I do want you to choose one particular video advertisement from the campaign that you choose to focus on, and then some of those campaigns are suggested up here on the assignment sheet. So the Pickens Plan is a campaign for natural gas. The BP Gulf oil spill recovery campaign is one that we've already seen an example of. You could use a political campaign if you wanted to, although I would prefer you use a large-scale national campaign as opposed to a small localized campaign. The Meth Project is one that's been popular in recent years, as well as the My Plate campaign that has been undertaken by the U.S. Department of Agriculture for the dietary recommendations. But then I've had students come up with other campaigns on their own, but if you do choose to work with an advertisement from a campaign that's not listed here, I would just like you to run that by me because I want to make sure that you do choose an appropriate topic and appropriate advertisement so that you can set yourself up for success. Let me see if there's anything else I need to cover here. Certainly do email me if you have any questions about the assignment. There's also a sample that you can look at that is kind of organized the way that I want your essays to be organized, and it does focus on one advertisement, so it's a good example of that. And then when we get into April, things will kind of pick back up with our regular schedule, and your final will be due, and we'll move into Unit 3. So that's kind of the overview of the next couple of weeks and spring break. Hopefully that's not too confusing, but basically you just need to pick 1 week that you want to do your work and 1 week that you want to take your break. And then depending on which one you pick, you will do all of your work during the week that you choose to work, and hopefully do all of your break during the week that you choose to break. So I do want you guys to get that break. And I've also had some questions about, well, because this is a 12-week class, are we really going to have time to take a week break? But the 12 weeks actually includes a week off, so the entire time span of the course is actually 13 weeks. So we will still have 12 weeks of instruction as long as you do work during one of the weeks upcoming here toward the end of the month. Don't take both weeks as your break, because we do need to pack it in for the full 12 weeks. And if you remember from the syllabus, if you miss an entire week of work, that's considered an unexcused absence. So you can check out all of the materials for the campaign analysis blog, remember, under last week, week 4, under content. Excuse me, I'm in the wrong place. If you go to week 4, that's where you can see the assignment sheet and the sample. But now we're in week 5, and then you'll see again, whoops, clicked the wrong one. Week 5, your reading matrix is due at the end of this week, and then for next week, the reading matrix isn't due until the end of the entire 2-week chunk, but then you can just do all of the process of your discussion within whichever week you choose to work, and make sure you're checking out the lecture videos as well. All right, well, I hope everyone has a great rest of your week. Good luck getting your blog templates done. Let me know if you have any questions about how to use Blogger or anything like that. Make sure you watch the videos for this week. Get your reading matrices turned in, and as I've said, I'm working on grading your summaries, so I hope to have those back to you very soon. Thanks very much.